Hello, welcome back. Today I'd like to talk about talking literally. What I mean by that is you say what you mean. The words that come out of your mouth are literally an exact description of what you're trying to convey. That's the world I live in, and most people with Aspergers live in. They live in a literal black and white world. So when we're conveying information to you or requesting information from you, it needs to be clear and concise. And more importantly, for me particularly, it has to be exact to what I asked or the information that I required. Nothing more annoying to me than somebody answering a question and giving me lots of information but not actually specifically addressing the question that I asked. Some people assume because you've asked one specific detail that you don't understand the whole concept, the whole story. That's not the case. If I'm asking a question, it's because there's one piece of the jigsaw in my head that I need to fill to complete the whole picture, so I have a full understanding of what's going on. And it really, really annoys me if I ask someone a question and they give me an answer to a question I did not ask. So when I choose my words, I'm very deliberate and careful over those words that I use. You often find people with autism or Aspergers have a very expanded vocabulary, and they use words that most people wouldn't use in everyday language. They use words that most people would understand, and they often use words that people don't understand because they haven't got such a large vocabulary. But myself included, I will be very descriptive in my words and my choice of words to try and most accurately describe the situation to somebody else, to try and make everything black and white, clear as day, with zero confusion over what it is I'm trying to convey. And that's where the annoyance comes in, because neurotypical people don't communicate in those kind of literal boundaries. So when I'm asking people for information and I don't get it, it's absolutely infuriating. It's the same with the written word as well. I actually use it to my benefit in my job now. I'm very good at writing up briefs and quotes and things, and going into great detail, because that is required. So when you're drawing up a contract with somebody, it needs to be, the wording needs to be precise. There needs to be no grey areas. It needs to be all very black and white and clear and exact what you're saying. So yeah, living in a literal world, that's why you might get people with autism or Asperger's getting very sort of irate at choice of words or your choice of words. One thing in particular that really bugs me is when I'm talking to a person and they are guessing, for want of a better word. They don't know the answer to your question, and instead of saying to you, I don't know the answer to that, they'll give you an answer that they think might be right. And for most people that's probably good enough, but for me, don't guess. If you don't know the answer, you say to me, I just don't know the answer to that. So many arguments I've got into with people down the years when they told me something that's not turned out to be right or accurate, and I've taken it verbatim, I've taken it literally, that they told me this thing in such a way, because I can't read their face, their tone of voice, the context sometimes. If they say to me something and make it appear to like it's fact, I will take it as fact, because why else would you say it to me? If I don't know something, I've always said I don't know the answer to that, but I can take a logical guess if that's what you'd like me to do. I don't give them the information and hope it's right. And some people sometimes, two neurotypical people talking to each other, it wouldn't even be on the radar between the two of them, that they talk in these quite loose, general kind of ways that they've got like this understanding, that you don't have to be taken literally, and if you take someone literally, you're a bit of an arsehole. And of course, that because that's the world I live in, and because that's how I have to operate and think, that's been thrown at me many times, being an arsehole, or being that kid at school, or that kid at work, when I first started work, asking too many questions. Just get on with it. Stop asking all these dumb-ass questions. Well, they're not dumb-ass to me, and they're not obvious to me, so this is why I need to ask the questions and get the information. And then if I haven't connected with the right person, and that person isn't a good communicator, that's when problems with me really start. If I'm having to work with someone that's not good at conveying information, it's like teachers at school. Certain teachers I just didn't like. I just didn't click with the way they conveyed the message. Other teachers seemingly laid things out in such a logical manner that it fitted my brain processes of how to work things out. So, yeah, people with Aspergers, they live in a literal world. And don't be surprised if they will hold you to task over something you said for its accuracy, or reciting it back to you verbatim at a later date. It's an annoying habit apparently that I've had forever, that before my partner knew I had Asperger's, we would have many arguments over what was said and what was implied, and I go to great lengths to explain that the two are completely different. I can't pick up on what you're saying. If you have to say it. As I said, neurotypical people, they seem to have this understanding between them that they can kind of work between the black and white areas with lots of grey, and that kind of works for them, but it just doesn't work with someone with autism or Asperger's. You have to be quite concise and precise, give details, give facts, tell people when you're not 100% sure about something, especially if they've got Asperger's, because they will factor that in to their thinking. Because if you tell them something that isn't 100% true, like it is, they will take you on face value, because we're notoriously bad at reading people and understanding faces and body language and sarcasm, and things are said in jest with a serious face. It's very, very difficult for us to understand. So my bottom line with all of this is, if you're around someone with autism or Asperger's, be very precise, give details. Don't think you're being rude by giving them this information in this kind of very black and white way. And wherever possible, try and write details down so they've got a record of it. Because when people write things down, when neurotypical When neurotypical people write things down, they are automatically now more alert to what they are writing, because they've got it in their heads. You know that now you're putting something in writing, you could be held accountable. And neurotypical people seem to have this habit of, when they're just saying things, they're not going to be held accountable to the same degree. But apparently when they write it down, they're more careful about it. So yeah, I hope that's given you a small insight into another small bit about someone who's got Asperger's. Thanks for watching. Bye.